Good afternoon, everyone. Greenland, the summer that never was. Late snowpack lingering into July harms the shorebird breeding season. Case in point, up to today, an additional 5 foot of snowfall. Looking at temperature anomalies, I don't see that North Pole exceptionally warm. Actually, it looks like the opposite. We know grand solar minimums, the intertropical convergence zone shifts. This shift might be responsible for Nova Scotia losing 60% of its blueberry crop, the shortages of grapes in Europe that are also causing a vinegar shortage, and why in India the new investment for hail netting on Himachal's apple plantations. And during these times of uncertain growing seasons, it would be nice if you knew how to grow something indoor to supplement your vegetable supply. Sprouts, microgreens, trueleafmarket.com. The Adapt 2030 link is below in the description box, as well as all the links to tonight's stories and images. Speaking of that, I'm posting a lot more up on Steemit in the visual form, PDFs, text, and images of all my videos. Steemit.com/Adapt 2030. If you haven't been following the news, they call it the lost summer for Greenland. There's record late snowpack, 600 billion new tons of ice up there since September. And this has all been lingering into July, which has been harming the shorebird breeding season. They found that the tundra where the shorebirds normally come to was 100% covered in snow, deep layer, which affected their foraging for food and nesting grounds. Right here from the Scientific American, late snowpack, record snow cover along the east coast. Now here's the shocker that usually the snow melt begins sometime in June and it uncovers the ground for these birds to nest on. This year, something has definitely changed. 100% snow cover when they got there. Yeah, we're told that Greenland is melting into infinity and it's going to raise all the ocean levels. Well, here we go. Up and even till today, an additional 5 foot of snowfall. You can see falling on the west coast, a little bit central. Now, also taking a look at the temperature anomalies, we've been told that the Earth is the all-time hottest. So when I look at this and I see something like 10, 12 degrees Celsius below zero north of Alaska and in parts of Eurasia, yeah, that could offset some of the heat in Scandinavia, but Greenland cool. And you see blue all over the map, but the media feeding us this should be a totally red map, but it's not. Also explaining how some of these changes are occurring on Greenland, let's talk about intertropical convergence zones shifting during grand solar minimums. A lot of study done on this. What they've done is measured up in caves where the stalactites are, how much water has come down during rainy periods over the last 2,000 years, and they got a pretty good idea of where the jet streams shift during grand solar minimums along with moisture patterns. Also, another thing to point out, more cosmic rays, more clouds. It's an inverse. So if the sun is stronger, the magnetosphere is stronger, we should have less cosmic rays, which would decrease cloud cover and raise global temperatures. Now that we're coming into high galactic cosmic rays, more cloud cover, we're starting to see the exact same thing, that the temperatures are starting to drop on the planet to only 0.2 of a degree above baseline since 1979. Now somehow this sums it up perfectly. Global warming was the narrative, but now they're telling you it's record cold, global cooling. Somehow it stems from global warming. It's heating the oceans, yet the oceans are cooler in many places. But they're still trying to push the narrative that heating equals cold. Now we should be heeding some of the warnings of the astrophysicists coming out talking about prolonged solar minimum. This is definitely temperature drops. This is definitely affecting our food supply. Italian meteorologists coming out saying the same exact thing. They're even talking about weather that's going to replicate at least something from the 1970s starting right now. They're expecting more snow cover, and this is what they're looking at in February of 2019. For their long-term forecast, as you can see, Europe well below normal. Greenland, though, a little bit warmer on that southwest coast. Now, with cooler waters across Nova Scotia and northern part of Atlantic Ocean, south of Greenland, Maybe this would explain why Nova Scotia blueberries have been wiped out by killer frosts in June. Now we can expect more killer frosts coming up this point forward year after year. If they lost 60% of the blueberries this year, and they also had huge losses last year, what does it portend for next year? I'm going to say decreases yet again. And the news does take on some of these more obscure food losses like vinegar, balsamic vinegar. Not everybody eats it, not everybody will use it. So to put it in there, it's a very safe story for media. They're looking for a 45% rise in that due to shortages in Europe. But they also talk about point number 3, the highest bidder gets it. And that's why I'm saying your rising food prices, if you don't have the money, you're not going to eat. They don't want to talk about wheat losses across the United States, but they'll talk about balsamic vinegar. Also, another input into the whole agricultural system here, India is going to need heavy investment in hail netting. So how many millions or tens of millions of dollars of hail nets need to go out across the orchards just in India? Now multiply that by other continents and other fruits, and you can see where we're going to in the future. Growing seasons are becoming more unstable. These late season freezes are just the beginning. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. If you found any value in this, please subscribe and click that bell to get the latest updates. And you can check out more commentary on my 3 times a week loaded podcast, Mini Ice Age Conversations, on iTunes, Libsyn, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio.